So, you know how when people start CrossFit or a new diet, vegan, keto, what have you, they're like, holy moly, everybody needs to do this. Well, CPAP can kind of be like that. As soon as you get your obstructive sleep apnea under control and you start to feel so much better, anyone in your family or in your life who makes any noise whatsoever in their sleep, you're like, you've got sleep apnea. You need a sleep study. That's how my wife was diagnosed with sleep apnea in May of this year. And in late May, early June, a few weeks before the Philips recall announcement, she was prescribed this, the DreamStation 2. I was immediately jealous. I'm a tech guy. This is a new piece of tech. It's smaller, it's prettier, it's black, it's got a touch screen. All of these other technological advancements. And here I was, stuck on the old school 5, 6 year old DreamStation. I mean, mine was a new device, but you know what I mean. In terms of a design, way outdated. I was jealous until we actually started using the machine, until I started helping her set it up, get it dialed in, help her make adjustments. And that's when I realized the DreamStation 2 is beautiful trash. Why? I'm going to tell you in this critical review. My wife was recently prescribed this machine about 2 weeks before Philips announced that the foam in its older machines was degrading in the presence of heat and humidity and also potentially ozone, and also that it is off-gassing volatile organic compounds from day one. Anyway, I kind of hated this thing before Philips announced all of that and made me lose trust in the company forever. And you're looking at it and thinking, hey, how could you hate this machine? It's kind of cute. It's kind of small. It's kind of sexy. It's got a touchscreen, for goodness sake. And, well, there's the first clue. So, the touchscreen in this machine is trash. It is fiddly. It is hard to use. If you have fingers the size of mine, it's almost impossible to actually hit what you want to hit. I've kind of gotten used to it. I've learned to, I have learned to sort of hit where it wants me to hit, even if my fingers don't naturally want to go there. But this screen is garbage. First off, it's tiny. It's itty bitty. I mean, there's just no way a touchscreen in 2021 should be this small. Look at all of this empty space. I mean, they could have put a touchscreen in here that you could actually use. This is unusable. It's actually one of the least offensive things about this machine. Now, you'll notice something about it. Air is pulled into here and comes out here. The touchscreen is oriented in this direction, which means that if you're lying on your bedside, you're going to want your headboard up this way, that direction. But that puts the hose going off this direction, which is fine if you have a mask that connects in the front, but these days more and more masks connect at the top of the head. So if your headboard is in that direction, you want the hose going this way. So you can loop the hose back over your headboard or something like that. That makes the touchscreen upside down, making it all the more unusable. There's something else really stupid about this, but first let me talk about one thing that I do like about the machine. The power cord goes through this channel and connects that way if you've got it like this, or if you want to, you can just connect the cord like that. So you can connect it on either side. It's probably one of the very few things I can say about this machine that is actually not completely stupid. So the machine has booted back up. It's going to be really interesting for me to see right now has it actually locked up. Because about once a week or so, you'll turn this machine on and it's just the touchscreen does absolutely nothing. My wife and I have to reboot this machine generally once a week to keep it operating. Otherwise, it will lock up in the middle of the night. That's stupid. One of the worst things about it, though, is the humidifier. So the humidifier, unlike on the original DreamStation, it's not a separate unit. The humidifier plate is built into the machine, and that's fine. I mean, you should have a humidifier built in, but there's really no way to bypass the humidifier on this. So if you're taking the machine camping or something like that and you want to use a heat moisture exchanger instead of the humidifier, your only option is to turn the humidifier off, but keep it connected, which takes up more space. It's not that big a deal, but it's not ideal. Let's move this out of the way because I want to talk some trash about this stupid thing. This is the humidifier chamber. So to open the humidifier chamber, you have to pry like that and pull it off. It doesn't have hinges. It's got these little hooks. And every time I put this machine back together for my wife after washing her gear, I'm worried I'm going to destroy those hooks. It's fragile. It's stupid. You'll also notice, I don't know if you can quite see it, but my wife has had this machine for a few weeks and the top of this machine is already scratched up. And we've been treating this thing like we borrowed it from the Queen. I mean, we've been really careful with it, and there's just no way to avoid these little scratches on the top, which points to questionable durability. So this is the humidifier reservoir itself, and you'll notice it's in two pieces. There's your gasket seal, and there's the reservoir itself. A couple of problems with this. One, the DreamStation 2 basically sends air in and out of the same hole. So air comes in here, comes out these holes, interacts with the humidified air, the heated water, then gets pulled back through here, I believe, out this hole, right? So on the machine itself, that means it comes out here and gets sucked back into here and routed all the way back through the internals of the machine out this port. That's idiotic. That was a decision made by someone who thought, oh, well, that looks pretty, but gave no real thought to how it would actually be used. If they had put the port on one side or the other, well, you could position this machine on your nightstand any way you want and just, with a little elbow, run the hose in the direction you need it to go. Doing it this way really, really limits functionality. So the other thing that I hate about the humidifier reservoir is this stupid seal. Now, pretty quickly you learn that there's this surface here which is raised. So you can see it sort of looks the same from either side. But on one side it's smooth, and then the other side there's this rubber gasket. That rubber gasket has to go here to basically seal this hole. I don't know why that hole's there, maybe to aid in cleaning, but the truth is, given the way these fiddly holes are designed, you really can't get down in there and clean, at least not do a physical cleaning, which, I mean, I'm sorry, that's just a breeding ground for bacteria and fungal pathogens. We soak this thing in Dawn dish detergent every day, really, and give it a good vinegar soak once a month, but still, why are you going to build a breeding ground for pathogens like that? Anyway, back to the gasket. This side goes down. You want to put it over that hole like that. And then you have to get this fiddly piece of crap down into the reservoir. If you have any physical limitations, whether it is arthritis, like I have, or any other limitations on your dexterity, this can be tricky. But here's a bigger problem. So you've got that seal down there, and if you don't have it perfect, well, you go to put this back on, and you think it fits, and then you go to plug it back into the machine, and it won't go. And you're like, crap, what is this stupid crap? Why won't this go? Well, again, I need to be careful here because I don't want to break this fragile piece of crap. It's because I didn't have everything perfectly pushed down, everything sealed tightly, and this entire surface perfectly flush.
This is the stupidest thing! So stupid!
I'm sorry, but I'm thinking of some elderly people in my life who just, they would not be able to use this. Anyway, once you get that down, you can get this machine back together reasonably well. You basically have to slide this part into the grooves, and you can get it back together. Here's the other problem, though. So you can see you've got your max fill line here. In the summertime here in Alabama, we don't need to put nearly this much water in the thing. You know, we fill it maybe to there, right? In the winter, maybe to there. But in the summer, no. But if you get the water anywhere close to that max, and I'm not talking about the max fill line, I'm talking about the max, then you have to carry this humidifier perfectly level all the way to your bedroom. If it is in any way unlevel, you'll see here, the water is going to start getting into this hole and come back out here. And you might not realize that until the water is actually pouring into your machine. I hate this stupid thing so bad. Oh, I forgot to show you. Philips has, of course, changed their filters. For no good reason other than the fact that, well, there are a bunch of counterfeit filters out there, and they want to make the counterfeiters retool all of their production, what have you. It's a two-piece design still. You've got your disposable fine filter and your pollen filter, and they go together and they fit in the machine. But here's the thing. To check your filter, you've got to take your machine apart. Again, the air comes in here. Why didn't they have a door you could open? Some sort of compartment that you could get into. Well, I don't know. I guess because that would have made the machine not quite as pretty, or maybe a little harder to manufacture. I was about to say they worried that people would break it, but obviously they're not worried about that. The humidifier design proves that. Now, all of these are major problems, and they cannot be fixed. But there is one other substantial problem that I don't know if it can be fixed or not. You'll notice that this machine does still have a slot for an SD card. As of right now, that slot is useless. Philips has moved to an entirely cloud-based platform. The old software that they used to use to check your compliance and to gather your data, they've abandoned. It will not work with this machine. They've gone to an entirely new cloud-based platform that is fully encrypted. And when that machine is set up with that software, it creates a unique, almost like an Enigma code that is put on that SD card. And unless you have that Enigma code, you cannot retrieve data from the card. Now, why is that an issue? Well, it means that a very, very popular program, Oscar, as of right now, is not compatible with this machine. Now, the developers at Oscar are saying, yeah, we think we're going to be able to crack the encryption. We're not 100% certain. For a lot of people out there, if this machine never becomes compatible with Oscar, It's almost useless. And to explain why, we're going to have to take a trip over to my computer. So, yeah, join me there. This is Oscar, the open source CPAP analysis reporter. Now, this software is not made by any of the CPAP manufacturers. It's made by a community of programmers who are CPAP users themselves and realized they needed access to their very detailed information from their CPAP machines to be able to adjust their therapies. It gives you all of the normal information that the stupid apps give you, your overall AHI for the night, as well as the number of events that you had. More importantly, though, it gives you a graph over time of what's going on. So, just rolling back the time to June 2nd of this year, this is a morning that I woke up feeling particularly bad, even though I looked at my AHI for the night and it said 4.23. That's not bad. But if you will look, my AHI climbs up over the night, and when I get into the later cycles of sleep, it gets really bad. Here's the thing. Using this software, I could figure out two things. One, it would take a pressure of 14.5 to prevent me from having these events later in the night. But two, if I stayed on a pressure that high all night, well, it would cause problems. Specifically, it would cause me to have central apneas, which is basically where your brain decides, well, you know what, you're just not burning off enough CO2. You don't really need to breathe right now. So the way I got that in check was going on auto CPAP, a range of pressures, a very tight range of pressures, but a range nonetheless. So if we fast forward to this information that you're seeing now is from my ResMed AirSense 10. Previously, we were looking at my DreamStation, but the settings that I transferred over to my ResMed were very similar to what I had ended up with my DreamStation. So a couple of things I want to show you here. Again, I won't dig too deeply into this because I'm going to do a full video about Oscar and how I use it. But one thing you notice here is that this is one of the first nights with my ResMed, and I was still trying to dial in the pressures exactly. I'm still climbing up at the end of the night here. My AHI increases, getting pretty close to the morning to, 6. That's not terrible, but still, if I could control that, I would like to. Here's the thing, though. Using Oscar for this particular night, I could determine, you know what, I don't need to. And the reason I know that is because I can see there was a very, very large leak for 20 minutes. And by looking down here at the leak rate, I can see that it went from a leak rate of 4.8 liters per minute, which is totally within the normal range, and immediately spiked up to 36 liters per minute, which is considered a large leak. Now, with a large leak like that, the machine can't deliver the pressure that you need, and it can't deliver the therapy that you need. So, using Oscar, I can see, I don't really need to make any changes this night. I did make some changes based on the following night. And my AHI is still climbing up toward the end of the night. And here's where I arrived at. Minimum of 12.6, maximum of 14.2. This is the best night I have ever had on CPAP. Although I did still notice that I was having a bit of a leak here. I'm not sure this is a mouth leak. A mouth leak is what happens when you're wearing a nasal mask and your mouth pops open in the middle of the night. Sometimes what can cause that is you're just not getting enough humidity in the air. So based on this night, I bumped my humidity up by 1. The ranges of humidity are a little different on DreamStations and ResMed machines, so I'm still trying to find that right level, but this allows me to see when I'm having mouth leaks and specifically what they cause. So the next night, I bumped up my humidity by 1 and had an even better night. Here's the thing, though. I can't do this for my wife. I cannot make informed choices about how to tweak her therapy because we can't get this minute by minute data. All we can get is sort of an average, a snapshot of the entire night. Well, imagine if you had diabetes and, you had to take your blood sugar and it didn't give you any information until the end of the day, and it just sort of told you, oh, yeah, on the balance sheet, here's what your blood sugar was. That's kind of what's going on with the DreamStation 2. Your doctor can see this information that I'm looking at right now. Your DME can see it. Your insurance company can see it. Philips says that they are implementing this encryption to protect the patient. I'm not really sure I believe that, because the only person they're protecting your information from is you. I think it's more indicative of the fact that they just don't care about you. They don't care what you think. You are not their customer. The DME is their customer. The sleep doctor is their customer. You're not. And this is just one more example of that. This is one more example, or one more bit of evidence for the fact that Philips isn't really concerned about you or how well you're treated or what access you have to your information. They just kind of naively assume that your doctor is going to be looking at your information and making tweaks to your therapy as needed. And here's the thing, some do. That's great. Most don't. My wife hasn't had her doctor make any tweaks to her therapy. She can't even get her doctor on the phone. So for a lot of us, software like Oscar is essential to getting the proper therapy. Making sure that our pressures are high enough. Making sure that they're not too high, because that can cause problems as well. With the DreamStation 2, you can't see this information. Maybe you'll eventually be able to, but for now you can't. And to me, that's almost a bigger deal breaker than Foamgate. So this is the new DreamStation 2 next to the original DreamStation, which I still have around. Philips has not taken it back from me, which I guess is going to be part of the settlement. I don't know. Supposedly I'm getting a refund for this machine, but for the time being, it's sitting here collecting dust. The only real problem with this machine is the stupid sound abatement foam inside. Otherwise, it's a really pretty good auto CPAP. One of the things I really, really love about this machine, and I kind of miss now that I've gone to the ResMed AirSense 10, is the humidifier design. Open that up. It's got hinges, not stupid little hooks. And here's your humidifier reservoir. Air comes in here and gets sucked out here. So it's not going in and out of the same hole. Also, you can fill this thing right up to the max fill line, carry it from one end of your house to the other, and you're not going to be spilling water out of here, which is then going to get sucked back into your machine. Is this an outdated device? I mean, yeah, I guess so. Not that it really matters. I mean, these are not consumer electronics devices. This is not a TV. This is not a cell phone. Does it really matter if it has the latest features as long as it gives you the therapy you need? No. I mean, if you want to take the cell phone analogy to its logical conclusion, this is a 2015 model iPhone. This is the iPhone 6S. This, on the other hand, is a 2021 model Nokia N-Gage. Yeah, it's new. It's pretty. It's got features that this one doesn't have, but it's just trash. It's just trash. So there you have it. Let's break this down into pros and cons. Pros of the DreamStation 2. Number one, it's black. Yeah. Number two, well, the power cord design it's pretty cool. Number three, it probably doesn't give you cancer. Yeah, that's it. Cons. Stupid water reservoir design. Stupid touchscreen. Black and white touchscreen. That kind of never works. The machine has to be rebooted probably once a week. But most importantly, guys, Philips is keeping you from accessing your therapy data. The information that they give you in the app is damn near useless. It tells you nothing about when you're having events, what they look like, what happens at the same time as those events. Are the events related to a mask leak? Or are they related to something else? You just can't tell with this machine. Your doctor can tell if they'll look at the data. They probably won't. Your DME could tell. If they look at the data, they probably won't. Your insurance company can tell, but all they really care about is, are you wearing the machine 4 hours a night? They don't care if it works or not. They just want to know you're using it. Imagine if you had diabetes and your machine just sort of uploaded your data to your doctor, but didn't give you any immediate feedback. It's kind of what the DreamStation 2 is like. So that, combined with the fiddly and stupid water reservoir, combined with the touchscreen that is just infuriating, combined with the fact that this machine needs to be rebooted once a week or it just locks up and stops working. No, I'm sorry, this machine is unacceptable. Here's the thing. As of right now, late July 2021, the simple fact of the matter is if you are currently being prescribed CPAP, you may not have a choice. Durable medical equipment providers in your area may have the DreamStation 2 and no other alternatives. If that's the case, well, come on, you got to take it. You know, if you have no other options, if you need your insurance to help you pay for this machine, and the only machines you can find locally are the DreamStation 2, yeah, I mean, it's better than no CPAP at all, but just barely. If you do have options, if you can call around to DMEs in your area, make sure they're covered by your insurance. Ask them, do you have an alternate machine? Do you have one made by another manufacturer? ResMed, Fisher and Paykel, anybody else? Yeah, go with that option. I don't know if my wife is going to have that option. I think she's stuck with the DreamStation 2, and that sucks. Philips has screwed up so bad, so much lately. This, the DreamStation 2, is almost as bad a screw up as Foamgate. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week.